Hey y'all, so I'm going to dive right into the video. So I'm going to go through the story pretty quickly because I want to keep this video fairly short, okay? So, because I know y'all don't like long videos at all. I actually had one child, Haley, and Haley was about 4 years old, maybe around that time. We were headed to my parents' house. We had been shopping that day. It had gotten dark, so it was nighttime, and we were headed home. Me and my daughter Haley in our car, and I was driving past the stores, trying to get back on the main interstate, and something said, "Stop at McDonald's." That's all I heard. When I say something said, I don't actually mean I heard an audible voice. I mean, in my head, it was impressioned upon me to stop at McDonald's. So it's like a little voice in your head, and that little voice in my head said, "Stop at McDonald's." Well, I think at the time I didn't really want McDonald's, but I went ahead and stopped. I probably asked Haley, did she want something, and she probably said yeah. And so I stopped, and when I stopped at McDonald's, I don't even remember what I bought, what we bought. Maybe it was a Happy Meal that Haley wanted. Maybe I got a McChicken or something. Maybe I didn't get anything. I don't really remember exactly what I bought, but I do remember being in the line, and I remember getting to the cashier, and I remember my window was down, and I smelled smoke, and I also began to see the smoke. And the cashier actually said to me, she said, "What is all that smoke?" And she like looked outside her window and was looking down. She was like, "It must be a truck behind you." And I said, "Okay, yeah, probably is a truck," because I looked behind me and there was a really old truck behind me. I mean, really like one of those old work trucks that's probably 1980 something, you know, or 70 something. It was a really old truck. And I just, you know, and it was very, very beat up. So it's like, you know, it must be that truck. And I was like, somebody needs to tell him that his truck is letting out smoke. And so she was like, "Okay, have a nice day," or whatever. And so I left McDonald's. I pulled out of McDonald's and I got back on the road, about to head back and get back on the interstate. Well, as soon as I pulled out onto that main street in town, before I got back on the interstate, something said, again, this was a voice in my head, but it was as clear as day, said, "Pull over at Bobo's." Okay, so Bobo's is a seafood restaurant that's right across from McDonald's. And so when I heard that in my head, I'm like, "Pull over at Bobo's? Why? We just got McDonald's and I definitely don't want Bobo's, so I think I'm gonna head home." Just as clear as day, that same voice said, "Pull over at Bobo's now." So you know what I did? I pulled over at Bobo's. So I turned, I got over in the middle really quick, made a left turn and pulled over into the parking lot of Bobo's. I remember this like it was yesterday. The parking lot was full of cars. I don't know what was going on that day. I guess everybody was out for some Chinese seafood buffet. But the whole parking lot was full. I remember there were like no parking spots. So there was one parking spot that I saw, only one parking spot that I saw. And it was basically right in front of me when I pulled in. So I pulled into that one parking spot. Right beside my car, in the parking lot that I parked in, right beside my car was this big white truck, like a big work truck. And I pulled into the parking spot, and y'all, as soon as I put my car into park, the whole front of my car, the hood, burst up into flames. I'm talking huge flames. At that time, I don't know what kind of phone I had, or if I had a phone, or if it had a camera, but I wish I could have taken a picture of it. I mean, of course I wouldn't have been thinking of taking a picture of it in that moment, but I wish I had a picture of it to really let you guys know exactly how my car was looking. It burst into flames as soon as I put my car into park. I jumped out of the car, just scared out my mind, jumped out of the car, went to the back, got Haley out of her seat and out of her seatbelt, pulled her out of the car and just stood back in horror. Y'all, I was shocked. My car had burst into flames. That's not where the story ends though. You remember I said there was a white truck that was right beside me, a white's workhorse of a truck? Well, there were also people at the door, at the entrance door of the restaurant, Bobo Seafood. There were people at the entrance door just standing outside. Maybe had just got through eating, I'm not sure. But they were standing at the entrance door of Bobo's. One of the guys that was at the entrance door, he saw the flames on my car and he ran over to my car. Do y'all know that that guy who was standing at that door and who saw the flames on my car was actually the owner of the truck that I had parked beside? And he ran straight to his truck. On the back of his truck was this huge bucket, and in that huge bucket that was on the back of his truck was water. It was full of water. He got the bucket off the back of his truck and got it, and it was enough water to put the fire out on my car. And I remember sitting there in shock and horror all at the same time, like, oh my God, is this the man's truck? Is this his truck? Is that his? I mean, I was shaking. I was amazed. I was like, oh my God. You know, before the fire could get really big, he had come out, got the water, and the water was just enough to put the fire out on my car. After that, him and his friend, it was two white guys, and he and his friend came over and they started to inspect my car. I really don't remember what happened, y'all. I was so in shock. I was so out of it, you know, just thinking about what could happen. And I don't even remember what they said, but they were telling me some things that might have been wrong with my car, and that I needed to get somebody to check it, and that did I have anybody to call. Thankfully, my parents were actually in the area, and they came and they got me and Haley. But I just want to say, talk to y'all for a moment, because I think about this often, because it's like it just happened yesterday, even though it happened years and years ago. What I think about often is, what if Haley and I had been in that car? And what if I hadn't listened? Because if I go back to the story, and if you go back to the story with me, when I heard in my mind something say, pull over to McDonald's, that was God's first warning to me. Pull over to McDonald's, I got something to tell you. If I had just kept going and hadn't listened to that first voice, maybe I wouldn't have had another chance to listen to any other voices. But I pulled over into McDonald's, and he tried to give me the warning the first time to say, look, your car is smoking. I didn't know it was my car, but he was trying to tell me your car is smoking. And I put it off on somebody else. No, that ain't me, that's somebody else. That's the car behind me. So I want to talk for a second about that message in and of itself. Sometimes you are the one that's smoking. You are the one that has the problem. You're the one that needs to be changed, but you keep talking about everybody else behind you, how they need to change, when you're the one who needs to change. I'm gonna tell y'all one thing, at that moment in my life, I was the one who needed to change in my heart. Yeah, something was wrong with my car, but there was also something wrong with my heart. At that time, I had turned my back on God, you know, and there was something wrong with my heart. But the Lord was telling me, He was telling me to stop, and I kept going. I said, no, that's somebody else needs help, not me. It didn't cross my mind that it was me. It was just like, duh, it's the car behind me, because it looked so horrible. That car looked so horrible, it has to be them. Continue on. When I pulled out, maybe it was that because I had listened to God the first time and decided to stop, and even though I really didn't know what God was trying to tell me, maybe because the fact that I actually obeyed Him and stopped, maybe He decided, look, I'm gonna give her one more chance to turn around, to stop. And as I pulled out, and He told me, look, you need to pull over to Bobo's. And still I'm like, no, I don't need to pull over to Bobo's. There's no reason for me to go to Bobo's. And He said, okay, I'm gonna give you the third chance to tell you what you need to do. You need to pull over to Bobo's, and you need to pull over to Bobo's right now. And even though I didn't understand it, I did it anyway. That's another lesson in and of itself. Even when you don't understand what God is telling you to do or why he's telling you to do it, why would I need to go to Bobo's? I've already eaten, I've already gotten my food. Even when you don't understand what God is telling you to do. If he's telling you to pull over, if he's telling you to turn around, if he's telling you to stop in your tracks, even when you don't understand it, just do it. He might not tell you again. He might not have a chance to tell you again. And I pulled over. And I think about it often. What if I had continued to go? I know now that my car was about to burst into flames. On that road, I was traveling maybe 30, 35 miles an hour. If I got on the interstate, y'all, I like to speed. I would have been going at least 80 that night trying to get home. We all know what happens to fire when some oxygen gets on it. All I can think is that if I had gotten on that highway, if I had gotten on that interstate that night, all I can think is y'all probably wouldn't even have been able to identify me or Haley's body that night. And I thought about this morning. I thought about that this morning. I think about this often, y'all. Like, I always think about this story. And it reminds me how loving our God is. Remember when I told you that I wasn't in the right place with God? I wasn't praying. I wasn't talking to him. I wasn't reading the Bible. I did everything I could to not be anywhere near God. But listen to me. The Lord still spoke to me. Even in my sin, even in the wrongdoing, even in not listening to him half the time, he still came through and he spoke to me. And in him speaking to me, I think that he literally saved my life and my child's life. And so I want to tell you guys, and whatever you do, learn to listen to the voice of God. He can tell you so much. He can impress it upon you so much. Even at that time, like I said, I didn't even have a relationship with him, but he still let me know. I don't know why. Maybe a prayer that I prayed when I was younger, telling him, even when I was younger, telling him, God, please watch over me, the way my mama taught me how to pray. Maybe those prayers back then covered me at that moment. Maybe the prayers of my parents and my grandparents, as you covered me at that moment, the Lord thought about it and said, look, I'm going to let you know that you need to pull over now. And I thought I was going to cry. I told myself I wasn't going to cry because I'd already cried. But y'all, you can't tell me that my God is not real. And you can sit here and say, oh, that was just you. That was just your thinking. Y'all, I didn't want to stop at McDonald's. I didn't want to pull over at Bobo's. I had no clue. Like, I had no reason at all. And then the truck there. The truck was strategically placed in that spot. It was strategically placed in that spot with a big bucket of water on it just for me. The guy, the owner of the truck, was strategically placed at the front door waiting on me and my child to pull into the parking lot. Y'all can't tell me my God ain't real. And y'all, he's done so much. But that one time when I was in my sin, the way he spoke to me, same way. I don't care where you at in life. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what you're doing at this moment. I don't care what you're doing at this moment. He has the ability to speak to you right now. You just have to learn to listen. You have to learn to listen, because this could literally save your entire life.